Hey, babe. Welcome to Boss Less, Babe More. This is your go-to podcast for burnout girlies ready to align their brand and business. I'm Grace, alignment coach and Akashic Record reader.
And I'm Réka, designer and brand strategist. Together, we're here to share what it really takes to build a brand and business that feels aligned, supportive, and actually sustainable.
Get valuable insight from two recovering boss babes and a chance to sit in the hot seat so you can receive on-the-spot brand clarity or coaching from women who get it.
Not to mention, exclusive invites to our brand rebirth intensives and retreats.
So if you're ready to unboss a little, soften a lot, and build a life and brand that reflects something real,
we are overjoyed to welcome you to our wholesome, quirky, and wildly transformational corner of the internet.
Hey babes, welcome back to this week's episode, and today we're going to be talking about Reka's immersive integration experience that she had last week,
Yes.
which was so awesome. So if you would like to hear more about that experience, go back to our previous episode, and she talks about what she was feeling before entering into the immersive integration, and then we talk about what that experience is like. So head back to our previous episode if you haven't listened in yet, and then come back here. And in the meantime, please give us a like and subscribe and follow along for more amazing content. So, diving right on in.
Yes.
Reka, you've done some of this work with me before, but this was an entirely new level of Akashic transformational work. And last week you were talking about some of the nerves that you were having whenever you came into the experience with me. Did you feel like you were put at ease? Did you feel like there was a transformational value in that experience for you? And just overall, what was your experience like?
Overall, I would say, guys, run to her website and schedule with her. It was so incredible, especially having the quote unquote just reading the first round. I see and understand so much more now of how your work is. Well, I've already understood it was transformative, but this round I understood the incredible depth of where all of this can take you if you're willing to put in the work and go all the way in. So I think oftentimes coaching has this, we've mentioned this a million times, but coaching or these programs have this thing of like, this will be your instant fix, something will just get resolved. And that is not the case anyway with any kind of transformational personal development work, right? You can read that book and then great, what did you change about your life? But I think I can now really clearly see what were the things that I implemented last time that made a change versus what I dilly-dallied on or questioned myself on or just didn't put in the work to do. So that shit will just keep coming up and replaying, and certain things will shift and move forward, but it's just continuous work. So there is something kind of nice about how you can come back to different pieces and continue working on this to create the best possible result. There's something comforting to know that there's actually nothing wrong with me. Or maybe there are things wrong with me. Nobody answer that. But there is tremendous value in trusting that what comes up is what is your next evolution. So I had the reading that was more the paper Reka lens the first time. And while we talked about how all of the actions that I take apply to my business, this felt like a more comprehensive picture of how as a person I'm making certain decisions, or I'm in certain loopholes or stuck in certain patterns that affect everything, that affect my relationships, my friendships, my business, how I show up in the world. And I understood that the first round, but it's just a smaller snapshot of what it is that we're doing. So
Yes.
I definitely see how the two relate to each other, can help each other, and how eventually that's really what people should do with you as work. Like dip your toes in and then do the immersive work. I think I had a double kind of like nerves. What is this going to be like comparative? Even though I knew what the reading was like the first time, this just felt bigger. So there were nerves about that. And then I also wonder how much of the nerves were, we are recording, I'm talking about this publicly. There's like a kind of an owning this that maybe I'm messy or not everything is perfect about me. But come the day of when we got together, I actually arrived earlier and had some errands and small things to do beforehand, and then had time, probably almost 45 minutes completely to myself, uninterrupted, before you arrived. Like, I know what time you were going to arrive, and that was, I didn't meditate or didn't do anything specific, but I made myself a cup of tea and honestly just chilled the fuck out. So, if anybody's interested in doing this work, don't fucking take granted the night before. Don't have shit to do. The day of, it's an all day experience, so you can't really put too much into your morning. Have a second to yourself. And so I think I was more excited than nervous actually day of, which is surprising. I can carry a ton of anxiety and overcomplicate and overthink a lot of stuff. So it was nice to have that space and time and notice, like, okay, I have time before she gets here. What is it that I would like to do? Could I have written like two more emails and do other things? Sure, but it, that cup of tea was like, okay, calm down, slow down, and and then it was just a lot of excitement. It was a lot of excitement, and to go back to all of the questions I asked, it feels even silly to think, what was I nervous about? Because you were an incredible guide. Not only I could see the amount of prep work that goes into it, which I just for a second want to mention for everybody that thinks about signing up for something. The other end of how you have to prepare for all of this is mind blowing to me. I know that this is your skill and this is something you do really well and you're extremely efficient and good at it. It blows my mind how much we have uncovered, and now I see the extent of how much more I still don't understand or know that I can still continue to work on with you. Like, it's really cool to see the depth and breadth of it, of what your preparations are, how it all comes together, and then how it can actually really make a difference in your life. So, first and foremost, when we say all day experience or all day immersive, we are talking, it was almost 8 hours.
Yeah, it's
So
it's it's all day.
it is,
And it's not that I schedule out 8 hours, but the work is done when we're done.
yeah. So we definitely needed all of that. And I didn't think like, oh, well, we were gonna stop when we needed to stop, but I was like, all day, we'll see how that shakes out. And it's like, it was all fucking day.
It was all
And I
fucking
was
day.
prepared for that, but I thought, damn. And so
Hmm.
the structure was also really nice. So while you have prepped me for that and you said, we'll have a conversation first, we'll talk about what I have found in the records, we'll go through all of that, then we're going to go into the records. That was really helpful because I could get all those questions and nerves and different things out that I had, which some of them were just really still the technical things like, okay, I sit here, you sit there. Do I put my feet up or not put my feet up? Some small nuances, but I already knew all the information that I needed to. So going into the record, it wasn't a, I don't know what I expected, but it just wasn't as, not even scary is not even the right word. It just wasn't as unfamiliar or strange or just, it just wasn't a surprise because I knew exactly what the thing was that we're going to look for, that we're going to discuss. And you have said this many times too, that anybody can do this work and anybody can go into their records, but where the fuck are you going and what are you looking for? Like, you can get lost. So it felt like I was guided perfectly. Like, this is where we're gonna go. This is, well, actually, you even asked, do you think which past life is the most important that you think? You had an opinion on it. You were going to chime in if I said something different, but I was like, what feels the juiciest for you to work on? So I appreciate that. Like, I have free will and I can tell you, like, I'm really interested in exploring this, but we both knew like the one from 7 lifetimes ago was the deepest and most transformative. So in that, there's already comfort that someone's guiding you. So sometimes I think people can just kind of say like, oh, I'll guide you through it. I'll do this. And then it's like, they maybe do it or maybe not. Like, we are one-on-one. You're in it with me. There's, there's just a lot of comfort in that. There's just a lot of ease in that. And so I really wasn't nervous. I loved finding out even kind of the traumatic and weird things that happened to me. Uh, the fact that, 7 lifetimes ago, I created something, meaning I have continuously repeated the same patterns since then because it hasn't been dealt with. And even though you've given me clearing work, which I have now started, I'm on day 2, the clearing work will still not alter anything at the end unless I put in the work to make different choices. And that put it in a different kind of perspective versus working with you the first time. Like, okay, what are different actions that you can take to create different result? This time it was, this happened to you and this has led to this pattern. And now that you know that, now that this is in your consciousness, this is in your awareness, what are the steps that you can take to eradicate this? So it feels like this double punch of like, we'll clear that, and then this shit's gonna go away. Other stuff may come up, or will come up, not may, will come up. Other stuff you'll be able to deal with because now you have made a different choice in this lifetime to take this work differently. So I understood all of those words you explained to me the first time. We've talked about the records, my partner grilled you on the Akashic work and how this works, but it's until you sit in that, you don't really understand. Like, I have been fucking doing this for 7 lifetimes, which means there's nothing wrong with me. Everything is figure outable, and I can make a different choice and affect change by just taking charge of how I now react to these exact things when they come up, right? So there's something incredibly empowering in that, like knowing that even the things that came up were not scary in the same way. They were negative, they were heavy, they are sad. It's not impossible to move through it. Or, when you said like your soul is ready to move through it, I was like, what is the thing I'm going to hear and how do I know that I'll be ready to move through it? And then you said what happened to me and I thought, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, like it just didn't feel the same kind of heaviness or something. Like you also present this information really non-judgmental. There was just no shame around it. There was just neutrality to how you brought it to the table that also allowed me to stay in that space. So I wasn't thinking really the only thing I was thinking like, oh man, poor guy 7 lifetimes ago making these things, right? Versus like, oh, it was like poor life making this decision 7 lifetimes ago. It makes sense why I am where I am, but not like I'm doomed forever. This is terrible. This is like, I just couldn't really get into that kind of mind spiral that I definitely can do in my current lifetime of like, this bad thing happened and now everything is going to shit and I'm spiraling out of control. It gave me this tangible, this is the thing and this is how you can move forward from it. So it's just this kind of clarity and confidence and empowerment that, not that I didn't expect it, but it was immediate and really comforting. So that feels like a really important thing to know in order to do hard work and create change and take a different kind of action, because that's still hard, right? So knowing that the baseline is not so impossible or scary or judgmental created this space for me to think, yeah, I can absolutely try to figure out what are the choices to make this lifetime that will put an end to that and heal. So it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. I think my favorite part was at the beginning you asked if I think it's easy or difficult. I don't know how you asked it. Do you think it's easy to get into the record? I think was your question. I'm like, yeah. And then there we were. You're guiding me through it. I'm like, oh, okay, we are here. And it's also not I haven't done a whole lot of like psychic work and readings and things like that where someone's like, well, I kind of feel this or it looks like this. It was none of that. You said, okay, you opened a door. What's there? What do you see? Like everything was,
It's obvious.
it's obvious, but everything was from me. Like I didn't expect you to play out the scene, but I I could see it and explain it. You know what I'm saying? Like you weren't feeding things into my head, which I think is oftentimes like, oh yeah, maybe it was that thing. It's like, no, 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 no. You're not meddling into that kind of like giving me a thought to create something. And I think that's a really big difference from how I understand some of the other more esoteric, psychic, whatever type of work where it's like, actually, no, that doesn't feel right. But, you know, when you get a reading like that, you would think, oh, that person probably knows more than I do, so I'll believe that. Versus, like, I was generating the content. I was telling you what was there. I was telling you what certain things looked like or what I was wearing or any of that kind of stuff. So that felt like empowering because it came from me, not somebody told me what was wrong with me or what I was supposed to see.
Absolutely. And first of all, thank you for so eloquently really going into depth with talking about your experience, because it is a very personal and vulnerable space to be in. So I just want to thank you again for your willingness to show up and do the work and to be in the sauce with me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just for context, during these immersive integration days, we do go through and I give you an Akashic reading where I go into your past lives and I tell you, like, this is exactly what happened. These are all of the karmic blocks and restrictions that were created in the past life that are still affecting you now. And also, this is how it's showing up in your present reality. But then in the second half of the day, then
Mm-hmm.
you get to go into your own Akashic record yourself, into those very specific lifetimes to not re-experience the trauma of it, but to be able to be a fly on the wall and an observer of yourself in that past life to determine these were the thoughts that I was having. This was my emotional landscape that was playing out right as I was beginning to make choices that were out of alignment to who I really am. And so as you were going into those past lives, I mean, it was easy for
Yeah.
you, and that is always my intention. So it's like you know where you're going. There's no surprises. The only thing that's really surprising usually is like, oh, this is easy, or you go into a past life and maybe it's shocking. Like I've had clients where they're embodied in a female body, but then they go into a past life and they're like, oh, I'm a man. This is
Mm-hmm.
bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
So things like that can be surprising. But I also don't ever have a client relive like you were talking about how in one of your past lives you were shot.
Mm-hmm.
Did I have you go through and relive being shot in that past life?
No.
No.
Right.
We rewind and fast forward through the traumatic thing. So it's like, before this happened, what are you doing? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? What is leading you to go into the experience where we already know you get shot?
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll fast forward to after that experience as well. So it's like, okay, we already know that you were shot. Now what's happening?
Mm-hmm.
What is that experience like? What's your emotional and thought landscape now?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really I guess one of the main issues that I feel like people come with the nerves is like,
Mm-hmm.
am I going to relive something that's just
Mm-hmm.
going to re-traumatize me? And that is so not the case.
Yeah, no,
That's
it
so
wasn't at
not the
all.
case.
And even that, and that was maybe the most surprising to me is like, okay, so past life's gonna come. You know, okay, I found three things. You told me ahead of time. You're like, I was in your records. Holy moly, this makes so much sense now about you. And it's like, oh shit, what did she find? And then you sit down. It's like, okay, I heard that. I could take that information in. Holy crap, I got shot. Okay, cool. But when we went into it, the before and after, or the fast forwarding or going back, it's that reframing of seeing what led to what lessens the trauma. Like
Absolutely.
it just, I'm not saying I wanted to relive being shot, but not only we skipped it, but the fact that we discussed the before and after felt like the thing that happened it's like you watch a TV show and it's like, you know, that person's gonna die, or you know that thing is leading that way. Like
Absolutely.
almost the trauma almost became a non-issue. I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
say that that's not totally true, right? But it became just kind of negligible as a thing that I need to worry about when I'm in the record. So that again led to that whole feeling more comfortable, feeling more empowered, feeling like this is something that I can absolutely 100% handle and change. So that was really cool. I also loved that you said, uh, we don't want the answer I don't know. We want to make sure that we're like paying attention to all this stuff and not getting stuck in that resistance or that.
Because resistance happens every time. So before I take you into your records, I tell you all of the ways that resistance will potentially come up. That way, whenever it comes up, it's also not a surprise and it's nothing that we have to feel judgment around.
Mm-hmm.
It is normal for us to, for our minds or our egos to want to protect itself.
Yeah.
That's its nature, that's its
Yeah.
design. And so we're just working alongside of it instead of trying to combat it. We're just putting you at ease. Like, hey, just so you know, you're going to have moments where you want to say, I don't know, but we're not taking I don't know as an
Mm-hmm.
answer because you do know. You're in a database full of this information. It's at your fingertips. You do know.
Yeah.
And then also, distraction. That's a big one. So,
Mm-hmm.
what if you get
The
distracted?
curtains.
The curtain moments.
There were some curtains, but you know that, and you're absolutely right. Like those were moments where I'm like, okay, I can't remember what I told you. There was something. I'm like, I know this is a curtain moment, but something looked. Oh, I could see like a hut in the back. I can't remember what it
Yeah, it
was,
really caught your
but I
attention.
was like, there is this thing, and I know it's a distraction, but I'm just gonna say it out loud because this is kind of funny. But it gave me that kind of reassurance and language with myself too. Like, okay, and I think I had a moment of like, I know I don't know is not the right answer, but I have to like sit here for a second to feel it out or see it. So that just we always talk about this, like awareness is such a bitch because now it's like, ugh, I can't unsee that thing, right? So it's like
Mm-hmm.
now I know that I don't know is not the right answer. I gotta sit with it for a second because currently it feels like I don't know, aka I immediately know this is resistance, aka like keep going because there is something there that you're trying to protect yourself from that you don't need to, or this would be the place that you don't need to. So that was very magical. And then we took breaks. So when we say 8 hours, it's not like you're sitting in a chair not allowed to pee.
Yeah.
No liquids, no foods. Um,
Had an amazing lunch.
Amazing lunch. Grace is quite. If this Akashic Record stuff doesn't work out for you, please open a restaurant. No, don't open a restaurant. Keep doing Akashic work. But it, I felt nourished. I didn't have to worry about the food. I didn't have to worry about the drinks. Like everything was just. It allowed me to be only doing the one thing that I needed to do. Like put your phone down, put your everything down. I didn't schedule anything else. Um, and then just have the space to explore. It really was very fun. And even the past life stuff that's like, okay, now this is your shit that you got to work on. It was fun. It was fun to be like, oh, okay, I am this multi-dimensional, this like really elaborate being that's just having this human experience on Earth after all of these other experiences I had that I'm just continuously moving through. Like it gave so much more context to my human life in a way that I'm not saying nothing matters. I had like stressful days after that, but it's like, oh, it's just fine. Like it just like lessens the dramatic thoughts that I can conjure up from time to time. Like that's fine. All of this is just this is the neutrality of like the polarity. We talk about this all the time, that the human experience, like we're on this earth and you need to have the good and the bad, you need to have the light and the dark, and it just like, okay, this is what this is. It just allowed me to feel a tiny bit more neutral, even though I know I have more work ahead. I know I just started the clearing work, but I also, maybe there's an episode where we check back in about all of that, of like, okay, the clearing work has ended, how does that feel? Because there is ritual and attention and awareness that you have to put into that I think is there's something precious and kind of sweet about that. Like, okay, we went through all of this, and now every single day I get to tend to myself in this clearing way, and reading this, and watching the video. So it's just comforting. I'm not sure if I can come up with a better word. It's just comforting that everything is totally fine and is on the path, and shit's gonna come up, and then I have strength and power and confidence and competence to move through it. Another thing I wanted to share is that we also did, would
The
that be called the
alternative.
alternative
Yeah, the alternative lifetimes.
lifetimes? My God, you guys. So I think we did 2 of those, right? We did 2 of those, and it was so crazy to know that that person is me in an alternate, like, I don't know what I expected that to be, but it was like I knew that that was me.
So to give context for the
Yes.
alternative lifetimes, this is where we all are working towards creating something in our present reality. However, we're often, if it hasn't shown up in our present reality, then we're not actually doing the things necessary in magnetizing it in.
Mm-hmm.
So oftentimes we start struggling in our manifesting process because we think something's out of reach, or we're just not taking the correct actions in alignment to our manifesting goal. And so the alternative lifetimes that we go into are lifetimes in which you have already created the thing that it is that you want, the ideal partnership, the amount of wealth that you're wanting, the level of health that you're desiring to have. Like, whatever it is in life, there is an alternative experience of you where you have already created that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, by us going into these alternative lifetimes where you're already embodying that physical vibrational state,
Mm-hmm.
you're able to kind of get these cheat codes
Mm-hmm.
that allow for you to overlay that on top of your life and live into that. See what you need to be doing to create your desired outcome.
Absolutely. So to bring that into a little bit more of a specific, and even just the concepts of the boss less babe more, um, empire that we are building, let's just say that, um, so much of, I think, what we're trying to create, I will say this for myself, so much of what I'm trying to contribute with the boss less babe more is to create that, um, balance of the two things, because so much of our entrepreneurial life is just the fucking hustle and the thing and the go go go
The bossing.
at the bossing. And I see it in myself, I see it in you, I see when we are absolutely overcommitting and running ourselves to the ground,
Yeah.
and then like, hey, hold up 1 second, what is it that we're doing? So I never ever want to pretend that I am the person who has this imbalance. I will say, going into that and experiencing those alternative Rekas, alternate Rekas, and her ability to reach this makes this work even more important to me. Like, it lands in a way that I see that it is possible. I can kind of mentally say like, oh, it's possible. I can be, even in my heart, I can be in my head about it, I can be in my heart about it, I can like kind of, but still somehow just muscle my way through like this idea of the balance. And then I see that, and it's like, the second Reka was like just fucking at ease, like zero fucks given about any and everything. Like, she was so at ease. I've never experienced a calmer entity or person or thing, or it was also just like extremely reassuring. Like, okay, this exists. This is possible. So it like you're saying, overlaying it over the current thing. What are the things that I can change? Because this is absolutely possible in the future for me. It has already happened for her, right? So there's something really reassuring, even though it's work ahead or things to do or we have to take new action. It's all there. Like, it just expanded my idea of how the world works, how Earth works, how the universe works, how some of this works in a way that I think people can have readings with you and probably have profound transformation on during those sessions, and then the immersive takes you to this. I have now expanded and understood more about myself than I probably could have through any other coaching or self-help book or whatever, you know? So that's just like, okay, done, got it. Just gotta take new aligned action. Fine.
And it's so experiential that you feel it in your body. Like you actually have an experiential understanding of what that real ease and peace feels like.
Mm-hmm.
Because like even though we may like conjure the idea in our minds of like, yes, I want that. I want to be able to make money easily. I want to be able to be authentic with ease or whatever it is that you're wanting, right? We can have that in our mind. We can think, yes, I know it's possible, but until you actually can drop into an experience of
Mm-hmm.
yourself where
Mm-hmm.
that is already happening,
Yeah.
it just gives you this whole new framework of, oh, it's actually not as hard as I was making it out to be in the first
Mm-hmm.
place.
And I mean, both alternate timelines were they were similar in that sense, right? Like I am searching for a very specific thing, but they have not left me. I mean, I don't think they ever really will, and I'm sure I'll have other immersives with you where other shit will come up and new lenses will be given, but um, multiple times a day, it's like, oh my god, that was ease. I don't. Almost not even she was a human. She was in a human form, and she was a human, and she was a mother, and she was, you know, all these things, but she had a vibration about it that has not left me. It's like it comes to me like that. What I'm doing right now is not that. I'm not dropping into that same kind of feeling, and I have that knowing that exists, right? So it's this innate knowing and understanding of what that thing can be now, what that vibration can be, that is extremely comforting and motivating in this lifetime and this body to say, find it, go for it, make the change to achieve that, because she's fucking cool.
Yeah.
She figured out something that you absolutely also can.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then we take pages out of these people's books. It's like
Mm-hmm.
one of your versions was like the way that she got to where she was in life was ripping the band-aid off and saying no and being very, very concise with her time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, those are the actions now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where do you need to rip the band-aid off?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you need to say no?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you need to protect your energy and your peace?
Mm-hmm.
So, it's really quite juicy stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody cries at least once.
I was so excited. I didn't cry for like the first half of that, and then it was dog related, but there I was, fucking sobbing mess, but it's fine.
Everybody cries. It's
Yeah,
good.
so what is there something else that didn't quite come up for me that you think would be a good, or maybe not didn't quite come up for me, but something that I haven't said that you thought was something?
I really like how you were talking about how it just felt easier to hear about these patterns from the perspective of a past life because you're like feeling bad for that guy 7 lifetimes ago. And that's also why I present the information that I present, like in the way that I present it, because if I'm just like, you're doing this and this is bad and this is misaligned and you're just fucking up, then like it's so disempowering. But
Mm-hmm.
whenever there's a detachment of, oh, well, this just happened in a past life, you don't have conscious memory of
Yeah.
that past life. So we immediately have an egoic disconnection from that version of us that created the pattern in the first place so that we can actually integrate the information in a way that's very empowering instead of disempowering. So
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that you reflected that back because that is absolutely the reason why I display the information in the way that I do.
It makes so much sense. The way you structure the session made sense, and then just how that is shared makes sense. Like, okay, nothing is wrong with me.
Yeah.
This is a thing
Yeah.
that now I know. And I think I said this a little bit at the beginning of the episode, the what's gonna come up is what you can handle. I'm like, yeah, I can absolutely see myself do this. I don't know what is your suggested recommended thing, but I can see myself in 6, 8, 10 months time, a year's time, like, yeah, whatever the next thing is, now is going to be even easier to say, let's go in and see, because now I know how these go down. So not only the process of it. So you guys are just getting a snapshot of this, and you may be like, I still kind of don't know or have nerves about it. So like reach out to Grace and she'll explain more of your specific questions if you have them. But it feels like a really repeatable way to continue to heal and spiral up, which is, I think, everybody's desire, like get better or get, maybe not everybody's desire, but oftentimes the self-help or the professional development feels like
It's repetitive.
it feels repetitive, but even then it feels like we're just talking on a surface level where, like, I've done that. I have read the books, I have done the whatevers, I have pause at certain times, or I realize like, okay, I just need a timeout, or I can step back from arguments and things like, hey, we're not solving this right now, let's pause for a moment. I have learned tactics or specific things, but none of those quite add up to the idea of like, in that alternate lifetime, you were able to create the thing that you desire now. Like that is not in the books. Or maybe there are some books that I just don't read, but it's not, it just feels more profound. It just feels like a really profound experience. So,
And that honestly, like the how profound it is, that is what every single person says every single time. Holy crap. That was profound.
mm-hmm,
I will never forget this experience.
mm-hmm,
Like that is the consistent
mm-hmm,
review of
mm-hmm,
this work, and I would agree with you that this is something that you can do in 10 months. Like honestly, this is something that I would recommend doing on an annual basis, because if you are on a growth trajectory, you're going to be ready after another year to peel the next layer of your onion.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So, yeah. And you're an infinite being. There's always going to be a new place for you to go.
mm-hmm.
So, this is a really fun, I think it's a really fun way to go about
It
doing it.
is. It is. And it is just really at the end of the day not that scary. And I think people will know listening to this episode like, I'm curious. I want to hear about it, or this sounds like something that can help me with the X, Y, and Z. So I'm glad that we're recording this and kind of, we didn't bear all the details of, everything, but it just feels really nice to share the nuance of it. Because I think sometimes, if I think about my work, people can understand, okay, you do branding and you do this logo, and like maybe they understand the process behind it, maybe not. Maybe I'm more hands on with them, maybe not. But this is a really unique way to work on yourself and heal yourself. And I think it's hard to pull back the curtain without really you doing the work to kind of explain what it is. So I'm glad that we're getting these 2 episodes out about the before and after, and just shedding some light on the amazingness that you do, that you offer to the world.
Thank you.
As an infinite being. So
I guess the last thing that would be an interesting thing to talk about was, what was your experience starting the clearing work? Like last week, we were talking about how it's really not that woo woo.
yeah,
And so it could just be, I'm reading it, I'm taking the time for myself. But what is it like for you?
that is an excellent question. So the first time I worked with you, I had clearing protocol of something to read, and it was 21 days, consecutive 21 days. And I was still trying to impress you and try to be your friend, so I was like, I'm gonna be the client that just does it perfectly. And and then I think it was 7 or 10 days in, and I skipped a day, and on a Saturday where it's like I didn't have anything else to do. I was so mad at myself, had to go back. And so this time, knowing all that, like what does it take to really sit down every day and think about it, at the end last time, it was like, this is best for me to do it first thing in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that people have their little ways and reasons and whatever, but it just feels really good for me to get up and be like, all right, let's go. It is also helpful for me. Both me and my partner work from home, and I wake up earlier than he does. And so this also feels like a nice, just like alone time kind of thing, versus we spend a lot of our evenings together, do things together. Um, so I can just take that time for myself and do it. So that kind of ritual to it fell into place for me the last time. So I will probably follow that again this time. Both times I did it were morning. So I've done it 2 days in a row. But this time I have a video portion of it as well, something I have to watch, not just read. And I always have, so this is a little backstory, but I went through Reiki training a year ago or something, year and a half ago now, I can't remember. And I understand energy more in the context of spaces or clearing spaces, not so much like human one-on-one context. So I remember going through my Reiki training thinking, I'll never touch another person. I won't lay my hands on them. I just don't feel like that's my vibe. But the energy always like palms tingling, when something is like juicy or coming up, or like I can just like something is up for me. And when I read the clearing, it's in my, like I can feel it in my hands. So I haven't quite felt lighter yet, although I wasn't as tired as I expected to be, which was kind of nice. And probably could have rested a little bit more last week after the session, but reading it both times, like it just, I kind of have this little vibration, tingling sensation in my hands. And that is just that feedback of like something is kind of cool that's happening. It's like I'm not raking myself, but it's just like that, some sort of energetics is there as I start reading it. So I'm looking forward to either getting more sensation as it gets closer. So much of the clearing work for me is, I guess I'll step back for a second on that. The getting shot and some of the past life stuff, I have a lot of energetic leakage. Can I say it that way? Is that right?
Yep.
So a lot of my tiredness, a lot of my stuff comes from some of these stories. So it's nice to feel like doing the clearing work or even feeling it in my hands is like I'm coming back to myself. So I'm curious how we'll all go. Maybe I'll journal a little bit about it so we can have like a future episode where I say how it felt after the end so I don't forget. But it just feels like an intimate, precious thing, even though it's just the thing I'm reading on the computer. Like when we say it's not woo-woo, it's not woo-woo. Like you send me an email, not smoke signals. You have clear steps of what happens next, and here's your downloading of the recording. That's the other thing too, I think. We've said it a million times, but you get the recording of all of this and you can go back and listen. And maybe some people choose not to, or maybe they listen all the time, or it's several hours, so this one will be quite a commitment. But even the first round, handful of times I went back and re-listened, because each time you're going to understand something different. So it's such an oniony process that I'm assuming each day the clearing will feel better and better, and I'm assuming each day I will feel lighter and lighter, and each day that energy is going to get sealed up, or the I will be more protective of my energy as it moves on. So I'm really looking forward to that. But it just doesn't feel like work to do the clearing, because it almost feels like it's not inevitable, is not the right word, but something along those lines of, I just got to do this. Like I know I forgot it the last season, 7 or 10 days in to do it, but it feels like necessary to sit down and do it, and not in like a required rigorous way. It's like I get to like do this thing of like sit down and have a moment with myself and read this, because I know it's going to lead to great things. So I'm excited to do it. It doesn't feel, I know you call it homework, but it just doesn't feel like homework at the moment. It's like, okay, I may have like a 10 p.m. moment a couple of days down the road, like, oh shit, gotta do the thing and don't forget because you're gonna, you don't want to skip a day. But I think that's where it comes in. Like, if I worked better in the morning to go through it when I have my alone time, I'm sitting at my desk, the dog doesn't need to get walked, whatever, then I think it's not difficult at all to maintain.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of nice too. Like, all right, you'll do all this work, you're going to go through all this, you'll have homework, and then everything is absolutely, completely possible.
And then if you miss a day, you go back to day one.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Like,
Yeah.
I always like to say, too, if you don't make it through the first round, like if you don't make it through in 21 days and you have to start over, that is the actual perfect amount of time that it was meant to take you in the first place. So there is, like, if it takes you 5 times to get through the clearing work, that's actually exactly how it's supposed to be.
I like that. I also think it's interesting. You say, read it with intention. In your instructions, you have a couple of words in there, like read it with intention and something else. And it's like, what words are tripping you up in the document? Like, that's kind of fun to watch. Like, okay, what is the thing I have to go back? Like, wait, what did I just read? What is the thing? Like, pay attention. So it's nice to set the ritual around it. Like, I'm gonna sit down and I have the however many minutes I need to go through this so I can read it.
And it's like 5 minutes or less. It really takes no time at all. So
I was gonna say tops 10 minutes if you're reading extremely slowly. Yeah.
But,
or just taking a moment to sit down to open the document. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It was magical. It was great. So I think if you listen to these 2 episodes and you're like, hell yeah, do you want to tell people how they can find you and work with you?
Yeah, you can go to gracewiley.com, well, grace-wiley.com, and you can just schedule a consultation, because this may or may not be the thing for you, but we won't know until we talk. So just come have a consultation with me, have a conversation about what's going on in your reality right now. And me as the expert, I will let you know what I think is going to be the best path forward. It may be an immersive integration experience. It may be something completely different. So let's figure it out together.
Yeah. And that's a free consult. It's an hour long, like 0 commitment of like, just figure out if this is right or wrong.
Yeah.
Which I think is so nice. Oftentimes it's like, now I gotta commit to this large thing and I don't even know. Like, no, you'll guide them through yay or nay no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, I love that.
Absolutely.
I think that's important. Okay.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all of your wonderful insights about the experience. It's always so wonderful to have feedback, and I think it's also very brave of you to be willing to share about your own personal journey with all of our listeners. So thank you for being so open and vulnerable. I appreciate you. We wish you a beautiful week, and until then, don't forget to boss less, babe more.